That is what the entire Eastern wisdom says. If we know our real nature, we can instantly take a right step and we can correct it.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm going out of the way today's, but that would be a good topic. So, journey of in life, we believe as if we have our kids, we have our children, and we feel as if we are more mature and wiser than our kids. Good enough. Yes, we have more experiences in living our life than our kids. But what the Eastern wisdom says that we, the moment any person is born, baby is born, he or she is totally separate from the mother and the parent. They are born with their impressions. So there are two types of DNA. One DNA that we know from the science, and other DNA is what we call in Eastern wisdom as sanskaras, the past impression. The way any person lived the previous life, and he or she carried forward those impressions. So these impressions will be exhausted uh, by performing actions through their behavior, through their trait, through their level of awareness. It is like a seed. huh? The mango seed will grow into a mango tree. It will not grow into a bitter gourd tree. So that seed impression is accumulated in the mind, and the mind carry forward those impressions, and those impressions fruited results into my behavior, my personality, my trait. So this is what happens. So as a parent, if we are aware of these principles, we live our life. Okay. Do you want to listen? Okay, listen to me. This is advice. But don't push them. Don't force them. Leave them alone. Let them do whatever they want to do. So that is what is very important. Now question comes, these impressions is one thing, and how these impressions they got mixed with my ego, my attachment and detachment, and my lack of awareness, it results into a personality. So you are advising someone that a good advice, good piece of advice, but they say, oh, these guys are crazy, they do not understand, because of their past impression, because the way they see the world. So the way they see the world, it has two elements, the seed impression and my perception based on my lack of awareness of reality. So that is what we say. Can we exhaust all those karmas? The answer is yes. So, how to exhaust those karmas? So, I have to be a thinker. Why I have to be a thinker? The human being is basically a thinker. It has a power of observation, it has a power of choice, and it has a power of control. That is why we put the tiger into the cage, not the opposite. We observe, we see the traits of a tiger. So We don't build a case of wood, we build a case, iron case. They have a tremendous power. That is, we have an observation, we made a choice, we put them into case. They do not put us into the case, even they are much stronger than us. So it is the power of our intellect that works. Can I use the same power of intellect in knowing my nature? Simple. Nothing to do with religion, dogma, belief, caste, God, etc. Leave aside all that. So when we ask the same question that after all, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Am I the body? Am I the mind? Am I the intellect? So my mind says something. So whatever my mind says, do I think over it? Take a simple example, very simple example in our life. These masters have thought and contemplated and reflected on these issues so deeply and clearly. I like pasta, for example. I dislike chicken, example. Now we do not think why I like pasta and why I dislike chicken. Now it tastes good. So it tastes good to me. The pasta tastes good to me. So where the taste comes? The taste is felt in the tongue. So am I the tongue? Because I like pasta. We do not think why we have these likes and dislikes. Why we should carry the burden of likes and dislikes, because if we carry the burden of likes and dislikes, it results into attachment and detachment, and attachment and detachment leads to desire. Desire leads to, if desire is fulfilled, greed. Desire is not fulfilled, anger, hesitation. I had a wonderful student on Mondays, a good teacher, but a very bad in her mind, suffering from anxiety and the stress. But when she goes to teach, she is wonderful. When she deals with her personal life, she is the worst.
Hmm.
What is the reason? Reason is that I am in love, I have an attachment. How can I leave him?
Hmm.
So I asked her, when you met him 2 years ago, what was your life 2 years ago? It was good. I was bubbling in peace and happiness. I said, really? Yes. So I said, meeting a person caused you such a tremendous anxiety, and still you claim that you love him? Did you ever think of it? This is what the master says. We are not saying, go to the God realization, etc. We say, think, be a good thinker. And while thinking, separate those elements that is causing the anxiety. Be with the love. And she did couple of sessions, and then ultimately she realized that she was telling me that first, you are right that I like that guy. While liking, I constantly started thinking about him. I could not sleep while thinking about him. Then I proposed him. Then I got an attachment. Then I was obsessed. And my obsession and attachment, I, I branded as love, but it is not love. I said, do you understand that clearly inside your head? Yes. Now what happens? Do you have anxiety? No. And she started smiling.
Hmm.
So, understanding is very important that I become obsession, I become attachment. That needs to be left out. So, master says how to start knowing ourselves. Let me start where I am, my life, and so what I do first, I avoid self criticism and I avoid criticizing others. First thing. Why? Because they are the contents of the mind, and if the mind lives with these things, it will cause problem. Second, this is how you see, it may appear religious, but it is not. Then the master says, start living. How to live? Neither harm anyone nor harm yourself. So we harm others by external factors, and not I harm myself by internal factors because I'm attached. See that? I hate you. I like you. Master says, drop this from the mind. Then drop from this mind. You have dropped. Now ask yourself, am I a family or I am independent? I'm independent. I'm independent. You cannot sleep for me. You cannot eat for me. You cannot go to restroom for me. I'm independent. See that? Family. So I have to learn to pass on the love. Not, I have not to be attached. Same thing with the professional. I face a lot of challenges. Continue working hard, and maintain your level of awareness in the intellect. See what happens. See what happens. That's what in the beginning I gave some same talk to our uh, Philip. He said, okay, 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 but, and then became the but. So now gradually we start searching. I do not know who I am. Is it clear to me? When it is clear, then the next question comes. Am I seeking freedom from I, or am I seeking freedom for I? Think of it. Are you seeking freedom for I? So I will continue to maintain, and the same I is causing the problem. The I leads to attachment and detachment. I leads to likes and dislikes. I don't want to change. I seek a freedom for my I. That I, ego. So I seek freedom for my I means, and you have to follow my way. My way is the only way. There is no other way. Look at it. See, become aware of it. Freedom for I. I is full of attachment, likes and dislikes, hates, anxiety from the past experiences. What the masters are saying. Get rid of this I. Throw this I out of your system, which carries the burden of likes and dislikes, which carries the burden of I want this, I do not want this, I like this, I don't like this. And I have carried forward the anxiety, the stress, and the duality and a conflict. It is always associated with my ego. You drop it. So we have to think again and again, do I seek freedom for I or freedom from I? The moment I know how to get freedom from the I, the real self reveals itself. The real self reveal itself. Maybe let us see that how we can understand in a different way. Pick up the another one. So our master says simply, they said, because we do not know anything other than ego, that I. So the master says this I is the false I. So do we go with the teacher or do we stick to our I? One beautiful woman asked me a couple of weeks before, you see that, I'm not a seeker, I have a lot of stress, and huh? I know that what I am. I will not change. I will keep myself as it is. I said, who is asking this question? She said, me. I said, you are already a seeker. The moment you are asking a question, you are a seeker. Why don't you realize this? Don't you want to change? Yes, I want to change. You are a seeker. Don't you want peace and happiness? Yes, you are a seeker. Why you undermine yourself? Why you undermine yourself? Why you are hurting yourself? Can you have a luxury not to change in this world so that you want to keep the same opinion about yourself? So she started thinking. I said that you don't have a luxury to keep your opinion to yourself and stick to it, because your body is changing, your mind is changing, your intellect is changing, your thoughts are changing. You have been changing a lot. Are you not? Yes. So I said, follow the teachers in Eastern wisdom. So what we say, that real self is existence, absolute existence, consciousness, bliss. That is free from ego. That is free from likes and dislikes. That is free from uh, hate and love, attachment and detachment. Can you start thinking? I'm not saying that you can reach the goal today. I don't believe it. So I said, what is your planning, projecting your income next year? Maybe around 60,000. I said, why you believe this? You don't have that much money today. Yes, I don't have. So you are projecting. You have a vision. Why don't you keep this vision that real self is absolute existence, consciousness, bliss? You work on it. You don't achieve it. There is no problem. At least you will lead a life of calmness, peace, and happiness. And if you achieve it, you will get awakening. There is no harm. Why should I dig your mind deeply again and again that, oh, I know you are full of anxiety, you have a lot of reaction, you have a lot of problem. Why should I dig deep inside every time I meet you? You see the vision of the Eastern wisdom. That is what we say, that real self, our real nature. First, his master says, good, it is absolute consciousness bliss. Take another way to understand the entire journey. Do you love yourself? Yes. Do you love yourself more than anyone? More than your kids? Answer is yes. First, I have to see my own existence, isn't it? You may be a mother, you may be a dad, you may be anyone. I love myself more than anyone. It's inherent, it is natural. Tell me if it is not true. And if it is true, do you love something that you dislike? Answer is no. So it means I like myself, I love myself. Another conclusion the master gives you. How it blows your mind. What is that conclusion? Because I love myself more than anyone in this world, I am of the nature of love. In pain, in despair, in frustration, in the world outside, I love myself more than anyone else. The conclusion is because I am of the nature of love, I am made up of love. Tell me if it is not. If it is not, then your real nature is full of hate, full of jealousy. That is why you don't love. But it is opposite is not true because I always love myself. You see the conclusion, it blows you. Oh, I love myself more than anyone. That is why I am of the nature of love. Who who loves who loves anything that you dislike? Do you love what you dislike? Do you love what you hate? Do you think of it?
Okay.
Think of it. Look at the grand vision our masters have put for ourselves. Because I love myself more than anyone. Find out a person lying on the bed suffering from the COVID. Does he not love himself more than anyone? It is inherent, it is natural. So it means I have to find that love within me. I have not to search love outside. Because I am of the nature of love. When we go in search of the love outside, we find an attachment. Take an example, and then we will go over the practice. Does anyone says I hate you, that is why I love you? Not possible. I dislike you, that is why I love you. It will never happen. Your kid says, Mom, I love you. Now see the opposite. See also the opposite. So those people who live in lack of awareness, who live in ignorance. So I heard that the parents gave the entire property to one of the friend's son in India, and their kids started hating them, both of them. So they love because of the money. They love the money. They don't love the parents. But they claim that they love you. So parents said, okay, let me see whether you continue to love me or not. Let me give the entire property to my friend's son who is doing a good work. You people are already well off in your business. They did not even call. They stopped calling. They stopped visiting.
Hmm.
Again, see that I love my parents because I have an eye on their wealth. Not because. So ultimately, I love myself. Still, I love myself. So when I find that wealth will give me little more pleasure, hence now my parents have made the will of all his wealth to someone else. How should I love? Why should I love? Ultimately, The reason of love is I love myself. Why I love myself? That is why I love my parents. Why I love my parents? My parents are ultimately transferring all the wealth to me. With that wealth, I can love myself little more. But now there is no chance. Relationship is broken. We have to see the truth. That is what is the process of knowing the real nature. And once we understand that part, it is not that we should not do anything for our kids. Oh, that is our nature. I told you, I need not to hate anyone. I should not hate myself. I have the resources. Let me use that. Finished. But mind, don't over expect from anyone. Over expectation is bad. That will cause that will cause lot of problem in our life.